Happy Friday. Welcome to Seminole Sidelines, a unscheduled edition brought to you by the Osceola staff, but one that we are very happy, I think, to report to you. Mike Norvell is staying at Florida State. We have full team coverage brought to you. Jerry Cutts, our publisher, down at the Florida State campus. Senior writer Kurt Weiler is with us. I'm Bob Ferranti, the Osceola editor. So, guys, your first reaction when you saw Michael Alford's tweets, then Mike Norvell's tweets. Jerry, your first reaction was what?
Relief.
Good one. Yes. Kurt.
Yes. After all we've been through, after thinking a great season, all that, having to do a coaching search would have been, they're always exhausting. It would have been especially exhausting. And it's safe to say the options probably wouldn't have been as great as a normal coaching search.
I did do a little bit of peek there. The options were not so wonderful. I mean, you're looking at some hotshot group of five type candidates, not exactly maybe the pool that you'd want to be fishing in, especially when a coaching search and cycle had already transpired in November and December. We kind of thought this carousel might be active again. I mean, when the Nick Saban announcement came out, I think everybody was focusing on Nick Saban, what he meant to Alabama. But initially I thought, oh my goodness, Jimmy Sexton is going to work his magic and get some people paid. Yes, he did. But now for Florida State to make this type of commitment, again, we don't have the contract in front of us, but Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports initially putting out the numbers. It's an 8-year extension, $10 million annually. We'll see how that kind of annual number shakes out. But Jerry, you know these numbers, you know what it means from a fundraising standpoint, what it means for the job, for the athletic director, for Seminole boosters. They have to go out there and collect these funds as part of the big picture for Florida State athletics. What does this kind of commitment mean to retain a Mike Norvell and for the work that's still to be ahead for everybody down at Florida State?
Well, it's a big commitment. I mean, it's $2 million additional is it's significant, every year. Now the thing is, you have to look at it from the other standpoint. Is had Norvell have left, it would be hard to raise your base money, and so this is, I think, a lot easier situation to raise the money when you have a coach that the fan base has embraced, and they want him back. And I think they understand that they're going to be asked to give more. It's the cost of athletics nowadays. I look at it, Bob, the other way. What if he'd have left? And what if we had not have kept him? It was, to me, a dire situation. I think with all these projects going on, I'm standing here right now looking at a construction fence for what will be the football operations building, which is broken ground. And how are you going to raise money for that? How are you going to sell season tickets and ask people to continue to give at the levels they have been given if you can't hold your head coach? So I think this is a big day.
Yeah.
When you look back at Bobby Bowden's stay at Florida State back in '86 and in '90, those were big days. And I view this one in the same light.
Big days. You mentioned it. Coach Bowden passed up Alabama. After that 1986 bowl game when he was told he had to interview and refused to interview it. So there's those kind of legendary stories. Coach Bowden making the decision to stay with Florida State. Mike Norvell making the decision to stay at Florida State, feeling like he has built something here. He has continued this climb. We all know the story. 3-6 in that pandemic impacted season, where strength and conditioning was a mess, where there was 3 spring practices, all the way to the challenges early in 2021. But this program, 10 wins in 2022, an undefeated regular season, an ACC championship, under incredibly difficult circumstances with the personnel that you have through injury of Jordan Travis. I think we have to give credit to Mike Norvell and the staff for how they adapted with the personnel they had, with the options that they had. But Mike Norvell he felt like there was something left to accomplish here at Florida State. The climb, the work that he has preached. I think, Kurt, he has wanted to continue that. Maybe the Alabama offer is a really, really good one, but he felt like there was unfinished business here at Florida State.
I think that absolutely could have been at play. I mean, the truth is we may never know the extent to, I mean, is the truth. I mean, would he have gone to Alabama and they passed on him? Did he tell them? We'll never kind of find out the reality of the situation. I mean, the truth is after, I mean, how this season played out, I have to imagine that Alabama job was tempting. I have to imagine, I mean, being told, look, you can do less and probably still get in over a Florida State was tempting for him. But I have to imagine that deep down, yes, it was a motivating factor for him I mean, I came here to win national titles. Yes, I think we should have played for one this year. I think we were one of the 4 best, most deserving team, whatever term you want to use. We didn't get that chance. I need to accomplish that. And I would imagine he still does believe, I mean, even with how this season ended, I'm sure he still believes that he can win a national title here, especially in the 12-team playoff era that's beginning next year.
It wouldn't be.
Jerry, you've written about this. Can you elaborate on something you wrote about right after that committee's decision on the 4-team playoff? But you've written about what the 12-team playoff might look like. Florida State has that path within the 12-team playoff. If you're the ACC champion, you're going to get there. Can you just kind of address that route that Mike Norvell and the Seminoles have?
You talking to me or who?
Yeah.
You talking?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
me.
you wrote that story about how Florida State has the route with the 12-team playoff that the ACC champion will have a seat at the table.
Yeah, that I think was important to Mike making this the decision. If we were looking at a 14 playoff and he had been snubbed this past year, and he was looking at that possibility again next year, I mean, I think that's a different scenario. But with the new 12-team playoff, this is important. I don't think a lot of fans really have embraced this. But in the 12-team playoff, your top 6 conference champions are automatically in. So Florida State would have been automatically in this scenario. Now the question is, and Kurt and I had a good discussion about this over coffee this morning, is what's the chance of the number 2 ACC team getting in? And I maintain that we need to have a number 2 ACC team that has 1 loss, before we can really have a healthy discussion. This league has always had a Florida State leading it or a Clemson leading it. And the number 2 team in the conference lately has had 3 to 4 losses. So, the conference has taken itself out of contention by not winning more games in the regular season. So, but I feel like if Mike, he's got to be looking at this, that I can win this league every year. And if I don't, if I've got 1 loss or 2 losses, I still have a chance to get in. I think that's how he has to look at this.
Yeah, we'll see moving forward. I feel like Florida State and Clemson are well positioned to be still that top tier within the ACC. Louisville has obviously hit the portal and is making a run at trying to build something there under Coach Braun. Guys, we were also talking this morning, looking at the USA Today college football salary database. There are not that many coaches nationally who make $10 million or more per year. So just going off 2023 numbers, it was 5 guys. And obviously one is retired in Nick Saban. He was making $11.4 million last year. But this is a group that includes Dabo Swinney at Clemson, Kirby Smart at Georgia, Ryan Day at Ohio State. Obviously Mel Tucker at Michigan State has been dismissed. So these numbers will change within 2024. But again, Florida State going to potentially pay Mike Norvell as if he is a top 5 head coach, which I don't think we kind of grasp that could happen say a year ago, 2 years ago, but these salaries escalate, and clearly Mike Norvell is headed toward a pretty impressive number here, Kurt.
Yes, he definitely is. We are hoping to get those exact numbers here soon. In the meantime, Florida State has sent out a press release. Their wording, I think, is interesting. It's Florida State Norvell agreed to enhanced contract. Enhanced is an interesting word that I'm not sure I've ever seen attached to a press release like this. But yeah, it's got quotes from, Mike Norvell, from Michael Alford, from Richard McCullough. No details yet. I think we're expecting those hopefully in the near future. But in the meantime, let's be real. This fan base, this university, everybody needed this. If on top of everything that's happened over the last 6 weeks, the historic snub, how signing day went and losing a few of your best commits, it's still a great class, but losing a few of your best commits, the Orange Bowl, and if it had culminated with, Nick Saban's retirement and kind of Mike Norvell not being able to deny that opportunity, there probably be some people who would have to reconsider how emotionally attached they are to this program. I tweeted something to that effect. I've had people kind of say, yeah, no, I'll always be a fan, but I think I would have had to reevaluate some things. It would have just been, an even worse blow than the snub a few weeks ago, which, if you told Florida State fans, oh, it's going to get much worse, they would have been like, are you kidding me? So they needed this one.
Pretty wild ride here the last 36 hours, let alone the last 6 weeks or so.
It's definitely the E-ride at Disney World.
So I think, Jerry, you've also written about something in the past. I think it's worth bringing up now is you've discussed the synergy maybe among president, athletic director, board of trustees, how important that is. It feels like there's a certain good synergy between head coach and all of those groups too. And that's at an important time for Florida State athletics, as you said, going through building a football only facility, going through the seating upgrades, west side, east side. This keeps that cohesion, continuity, those good relationships just to keep pushing forward in the big picture, right?
Yeah. I have written about that. And over my 40-some years, I noticed a trend of as you get a new president, oftentimes follows a new athletic director and then follows a different head coach. And it's nice to I got Jeff Cupper messing with me right here now. But at any rate, it's nice to when you have the cohesion between the president, the AD, the head coach, and even the board of trustees. Florida State's in a good position right now. I'm not sure that this could have gotten handled if there wasn't that trust between the president and the AD and the head coach. I think this communication probably was a lot smoother than if we had a transition president or a transition AD. But these guys have all come in together, and I think that probably made the communication a lot easier.
And it's a good thing it did, because like we've talked about, Florida State would have been in rough shape with everything happening, with all the balls they have in the air at the moment, various projects and such, if they had to go through a coaching change at this point in the cycle.
Yeah. I just imagine when you got a stadium project going as big as this project is, the football ops building, you're talking about $380 million worth of debt that you're having to finance, and there's just a lot going on right now. My wife and I were talking about it, just what you guys and I are handling at Osceola. We're just writing about it, but it's like juggling chainsaws between the the lawsuit, this NIL infraction, all the things that are going on around this place. It's epic. I honestly, Andy Miller and I were talking about this. I don't know if there's ever been a time with as much turmoil as there is right now. And, within college athletics and within all the changes and all the things going on here at Florida State, this is a very challenging time for the university. And I think we're blessed to have the leadership we have right now, and that this coaching situation turned out the way it did. I use the word relieved when you ask me. I mean, I'm thrilled. Let me say that. I'm ecstatic. But I think the joy doesn't compare to the dismay that we would have felt if this climb had been interrupted. Well, if our coach had left and gone to Alabama, it have felt really, really bad. And so relief to me is a stronger emotion than joy.
Well, and he's under contract. I think it's the 8-year deal now. I think he was previously under contract through 2029. I think it's now 2031. If it's 8 years starting now, that's through 2031. So that's nice to have that level. I wonder, truthfully, we'll see what the buyout numbers. I know the $4 million buyout was kind of thrown around during this too, compared to Dan Lanning's, I think was 20 at Oregon. You wonder if that buyout number might be a little higher now that the salary's in that range, that you might make them a little harder to obtain if you're another school.
And I think, honestly, Kurt, as you slide a guy's salary up, that's a good time to also slide the other, because those things tend to get negotiated in inverse directions. If you want the guy a little cheaper, then you're willing to take less buyout.
Which Florida State was at first.
At first, yeah. And now, he got the raise, and I would not be surprised to see that the buyout slide up with it.
And let's all be relieved, not just about, let's be relieved we don't have to cover a coaching search. They're exhausting. We're also now, no Dan Lanning, no Steve Sarkisian, no Mike Norvell. We're a Kalen DeBoer away from that Alabama search getting really interesting.
Yeah.
Alabama head coach Tommy Rees are words that I never thought that I would piece together in one sentence.
That's a heck of a first-time head coaching job.
31 years.
Nick Saban.
Hey,
we covered him. Hey, Jerry, real quickly, we covered him. He was the quarterback in the 2011 Champ Sports Bowl when Florida State played Notre Dame. He's not that old. Let's be honest. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, let's move this conversation a little bit into the future. I think what this gives Florida State right now is a heck of a story. That the best job in the country, you're able to retain your head coach. I think it's a great message for fundraising. I think it's a great message for recruiting, for the morale of the Seminole fan base. This is a victory. And I think it's another feather in Michael Alford's cap. It's a big get.
He's made a push to hire good coaches. Link Jarrett, Brooke Wyckoff, Brian Penske just won a national championship. Also, retaining your top talent is number one on the list too, right? So he's done a very good job. I think you're right, Jerry. It's a big message toward the fan base. Season ticket sales are going to be incredibly important moving forward. Donations toward Battle's End will be incredibly vital moving forward. As we all know, it's an NIL ball game, and you must retain your top players. You must attract top players through the transfer portal. So guys, a lot that we will have to unpack on the Osceola.com. We'll have full coverage of Mike Norvell's decision to stay. We'll have the contract details and a little bit of a look at what are some of those contracts nationally, with some of the top paid coaches. Of course, Patrick Burnham's been out there. Some prospects will be on campus this weekend out of the transfer portal. So Mike Norvell continuing to build that 2024 roster moving forward. Good part for us to wrap up here, about 20 minutes. Just wanted to give you broad picture updating on Mike Norvell's decision. We appreciate Jerry Cutts joining us, Kurt Weiler. I'm Bob Ferranti. Check out the Osceola.com for full coverage. Join us on the message board in the Osceola Village. If you're not a subscriber, jump in today. We'd love to have you. Great opportunity to read all things Florida State, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, softball. All the spring sports will be starting up very soon. And of course, full recruiting coverage from our team. But again, we thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend, exhale, and take care. We will talk to you soon.
Love